a lot of opinions out there on this story. Clearly a talker, clearly a lot of emotion because a 2-year-old little girl has been killed. We want to talk more about what happened inside that courtroom with Eric Nelson. He's a defense attorney who handles high-profile murder cases right here in the Twin Cities. And also Stephen Baker. He's a former Florida Assistant Attorney General who has prosecuted death penalty cases in the same state where this one happened. And again, that's the state of Florida. So, Stephen, what does this verdict say about the American justice system to you?
Well, I think to a lot of prosecutors, it probably is a big disappointment in the jury system. The prosecutors had a lot of evidence, a lot of media attention was paid to it. There's all kinds of things on the internet, how overwhelming the evidence was. So for those of us in the prosecution field, we probably think it is an injustice. Constitutionally, I'm sure Mr. Nelson will probably tell you, everybody's entitled to their trial, and everybody's entitled to the same presumption of innocence, and we've got a jury system to test that. But from the prosecution standpoint of view, and of course very many members of the public, it's probably a sad day for justice.
So, Eric, what say you?
I say the system works. I mean, obviously here you have this trial has been incredibly high profile over the last couple of years. This poor girl has been the victim of a tremendous character assassination in the media, and obviously within the vacuum of the courtroom where the jury was not exposed to that type of media, that type of information, they were presented with and decided the case on the basis of the facts alone, and obviously reached a just verdict.
You know what? I keep coming back to the same thing, and I think a lot of people do. There's still a 2-year-old little girl who's dead. There was still duct tape around this child. Somebody did something here. What's going to happen next? Even though we all agree, and a lot of people watch this case, I'll tell you the television ratings, I know for a fact, were very, very high in all of this. The medical examiner, however, when asked, said there was no cause of death. There was no DNA, there were no fingerprints. That being said, there was a young woman who was out celebrating for a good 31 days, I believe it was, after knowing full well, because there had been admission on that, of her knowing that her daughter was dead. Something doesn't add up here, Eric.
Certainly. I mean, that's obvious in this type of a case. You've got it's tragic. A little girl is dead, and obviously all of the fingers are going to point right towards mom and her strange behavior. The prosecution did a good job of proving her to be a liar and to be kind of a strange person. The bottom line is that because they couldn't prove the cause of death or the manner of death, the state failed to meet its obligation of proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
So, Stephen, she was found guilty of lying to law enforcement. Why'd she lie?
Well, I suppose that if this trial had gone on beyond the guilt phase and gone to the penalty phase for capital punishment purposes, the fact that she did lie about it and tried to conceal it, which is the prosecution's theory, would have been an issue for whether or not she was going to receive the death penalty. Mm-hmm. But at this point, that is a moot point, and this is actually the end of the road for the government. The jury has spoken their final word, and that's the end of the case.
Yeah, because there are a lot of people who also say that this never should have been a capital case. This should have just been a murder case. So we'll go on and on with these legal opinions. One thing I do want to show the both of you and get your reaction to, though, is perhaps a turning point that people agree may have occurred in this whole case. And it was a statement made by the supposed mistress of Kathy Anthony's grandfather, George Anthony. Listen to this.
He said it was an accident that snowballed out of control.
But he didn't claim that he actually was there or knew that.
You're right. I agree with you. He didn't.
Eric, is this what solidified the case for the defense?
I think it certainly was very instrumental in essentially giving some credence to their theory of the defense, that someone else was responsible for this death.
And very quickly, I also want to show you another bizarre moment. Stephen, I'll get your reaction here, too. Obviously, the parents of Casey Anthony, after that verdict was read, you can see here, they just stand up and walk out of the courtroom. No visible emotion whatsoever when those not guilty verdicts were read. What do you make of it?
Well, their daughter's been on trial here for a long time. They probably have sympathy for her, but by the same token, as you mentioned earlier, a 2-year-old child is dead, their granddaughter. So they probably have many, many torn emotions, and this is what happens to victims, collateral victims in all of these type of high-profile murder cases. They don't know where their sympathies lie for their daughter or for their dead granddaughter, and that's a terrible shame and very, very hard on them.
Are we ever going to know who killed Kaylee Anthony, Eric?
I highly doubt it. I think the state of Florida probably considers this to be a closed case.
Well, to the two of you tonight, I know there'll be a lot of discussion about this for quite some time. Eric Nelson and Stephen Baker, thanks so much for your time tonight.
Thank you.